Nuno and João are partners from the Walking Mentorship, and they bring the inside look in the life of the people they walk with. The podcast Keep Walking With Me searches for potential solutions towards the best version of ourselves. Every month, we walk together with a guest. There is a disclaimer that needs to be shared. After listening to this program, you might feel the urge to step outside and go for a long walk. But don't worry, that is absolutely normal.
Welcome to the podcast Keep Walking With Me. Today we have another very special guest walking and talking with us. So let's get started. Let me know in a nutshell, who is Alex Farlander?
Well, hello everyone. It's a great question, right? I think I wear, how to say, many personas, many roles that I play. Of course, my professional occupation is guide, so I am a tourist guide. I take people I usually work with nature. So I take people to fairly remote destinations, even though right now I work or I learn how to work with actually super popular destinations. But my main focus is nature guiding. I'm also a mountain guide, and I work a lot with type of travel that I call expeditions. But this is professional, right? And I'm also a travel entrepreneur because I'm independent, kind of self-creator, let's say. But I'm also a father, I'm also a husband, sometimes a good one, sometimes a bad one. So there is a lot of work on this side, and I think it's even more actually than connected to professional things. So a lot of I'm a learner. Uh, I think to put it together, I'm really learning what does it mean, to live and to be a decent human, even though most of the times I guess I fail in that. But at least I'm trying and I'm learning how to do that.
Well, Alex, thank you for your presentation, and especially thank you for telling us that you are a learner, because that connects perfectly with our next question. Obviously, you just explained that your life is taking you to many different places, and geographies, and probably different people. So maybe you want to share with us what are the biggest lessons. So what have you learned from this incredible diversity of activities that you have? I mean, maybe you have I don't know, a top 5, a top 10 you wanted to share with us, or maybe we'll be happy with the top 3.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think sometimes, it is fairly hard to kind of put conclusions together or like some lessons learned because it is constant process. It's never ending process. And once you learned something, kind of next day you are already learning something on top of it, which makes what you learned yesterday a little bit outdated. And I think talking about that, well, that may be one of the main lessons learned. You guys and our listeners probably know that we always feel a little bit awkward about ourselves in the past. Like, I'm quite embarrassed about many things that, happened in my, I don't know, youth, let's say. Like, because, it's young and stupid actions. And then I was thinking, well, how much it's gonna last? Like, how long I'm gonna feel kind of bad about the things that I was doing or were happening to me in the past. And I was like, well, you are supposed to do that like all the time, because if you constantly grow, if you constantly learn, you constantly discover what you could have done differently and where you were wrong, essentially. So feeling bad, I guess, it's kind of okay. That doesn't have to, be super punishing. It is normal. And yeah, I heard it about this. In this context, I heard this topic just a few days ago in yet another talk about, YouTube creators. Because so far, all of the YouTube creators, all the popular creators who I know, they always say, oh, our videos in the beginning, they were just horrible. And all you need to do, right, is to just keep growing and to keep doing, and then you get to the level where it's not that embarrassing. But essentially, yeah, I mean, I think it applies to everything. It applies to life, it applies to our professional qualities, to everything.
I'm just laughing, sorry, Alex, because even the YouTube creators that are not very popular like ourselves, we can look at our videos from, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago and thinking, how can we delete this?
Yeah.
But in the end of the day, actually, we never delete them because actually we are very proud of the journey so far because there was very, very basic, but very honest as well, attempts to, share what we were doing. So totally agree with what you said. I'm just laughing because there's a lot of image going through my mind right now.
A lot of embarrassment, but still good embarrassment that brought us here. Well, Alex, you recently published your program, Feel Life. I believe that's the name, right? And honestly, it looks, I mean, amazing beyond expectations. It's really beautiful. So I would love to know where you got your inspiration from, and what would you like to highlight from that experience that you designed?
I created this trip, no, more or less like a month ago, and just yesterday I kind of started remembering where could I get the inspiration for that. And this inspiration surprisingly will be connected to our first song, but we will get to that later. So this program, Feel Life, it is based on 4 elements of life: air, water, fire, and earth. And that was essentially the inspiration because, like, when I just understood that what if I would take 4 elements of life and I would connect visitors, like I will show visitors how these 4 elements of life, they kind of being manifested in reality, in the physical world. Like, because if for people who live in the cities, especially in the cities, they don't see this kind of nature forces. They live in a staged environment where everything is made by humans for humans. But when you go to the travel environment, especially outside, or you go to, indigenous lands, or you go to forests and to nature places overall, there you see it much, much clearer. You understand where food is coming from, for example. You understand how, I don't know, weather changes because you see the horizon, which you don't see in the cities, etc. And just yesterday, I understood that I actually get this inspiration from the fireplace of Mayas. Not so long time ago, so I'm studying right now nature guiding in Mexico, in Yucatan Peninsula, and every week we have practice. We go to some mind-blowing place and put our minds back together. And one of these practices was in the botanic garden. And one of the corners of the botanic garden is dedicated to Maya culture, and they showed us Mayan hearth or the fireplace, which consists, it's very simple. I mean, it's nothing like, magic doesn't look like magic tricks. Real life magic looks like simple things. But there, so it's just 3 rocks put into triangle. And these 3 rocks, they symbolize 3 of the elements: water, earth, and air. And the 4th element is in between them because this is the fireplace. So the fire is in the middle. And I was like, ah. And that, I believe, gave me the inspiration, gave me the idea of like, why wouldn't you talk about elements and their kind of incarnation in reality?
That's amazing. Well, that's really amazing, Alex. I just think that whoever is listening right now is thinking we need to check Feel Life program, and that's really good. Which actually
Definitely.
take us to
Go there and check because it's worth it.
absolutely. I mean, you organize trips, you organize groups, and um, I'm a bit curious because what, in your opinion, is interesting about organizing trips and being with people and organizing groups? Because we also know that there's a lot of complexity and things that people don't see, and honestly it's good that they don't see it, because if they work well nobody notices. That's one part, but let's maybe focus on this kind of hidden spark within trips and organizing trips and groups. What do you take from it?
Oh, there is so much. You are certainly right. It is hard work. And I wish it would be a bit easier. But on the other side, talking about top of my life lessons so far, hard and painful means better learning. Literally, nobody learns from, eating candies. You only learn that your teeth will fall apart, just like mine. Like my parents were right, saying too much sugars are gonna kill your teeth. Yeah, it did. But but the point in this sense is that it is a superpower to be able to kind of separate pain and learning and go through discomfort, because that's the most efficient or effective, I don't know, way to learn. And I think that's why I am a guide, because here you learn so much about not just the world and places that we visit. Though, of course, it is incredibly powerful, because if I want to guide somebody, I need to learn. And that's why it's never-ending process. But also it helps to learn about people, because travel is not just one-way consumption process where tourists come and they take something, be that knowledge or new experience, right, and they just fly away. No, it is an interchange, I don't know, exchanging process where both parties are involved. And you, as a guide, you are in the middle of it, and you learn both about kind of city people and village people, and about nature, and about different forces, be that natural forces or social forces. you learn about group dynamics, you learn how to deal with people, you learn how to be a better human, a bit faster. I don't know if I still succeed with that, but certainly it is a great life university.
I I was
Uh,
just thinking that I have a little hole. It's not very big, but I have a little hole on my left knee, and I even gave it a name of the one participant in one of our groups because I've learned a very important lesson on that day. So absolutely agree with you, Alex.
well, and on that, maybe you can share with us your first music, and I'm curious about the story.
I come from the Altai area in Siberia. That's where I was born and I was raised very close to nature. Altai people, they start every, you know, good deed, every significant endeavor with blessings. And for them, this fire of the hearth, it is one of the most important um, deities, creatures, spirits in the entire world. And the first song that we're gonna listen, it is the song of the Altai band that is called New Asia. They are good friends and absolutely beautiful people, light workers. And this is the song using throat singing, traditional singing. And this is this addressing to the spirit of the fire.
Let's ask for blessings and listen to the song. So that was quite amazing, Alex. And let me follow up on that. And you already mentioned you came from Siberia. You lived in different places, and actually you can guide us a little bit through that. But now you're living in Mexico, and I'm curious what called you to be in Mexico now, and if you want to share a little bit about the different places you bumped on the way.
I One of my earliest memories is my parents looking for me and me being lost somewhere, and they were angry because they had to drive to find me, and I was somewhere in the forest. I don't remember how old I was, but young enough to create a lot of troubles for my parents. And I also, you have to, I mean, I understand them very well. Like, I was born in the Soviet Union right before it collapsed. And most of my childhood memories, these are, memories of death. So people were dying either from diseases or they were jumping from windows. There were all sorts of deaths, and there were all sorts of funerals. Um, so for me, it was childhood. It was kind of like I was just reading criminal news and, like, just a child. Also, this area of Altai, where I'm from, it is happened to be these days on the conjunction, I don't know the word, of borders of 4 countries. So if you would open Google Maps right now and you would want to understand what is it, this place that I'm talking about, you just need to find this area where the borders of Russia, Kazakhstan, China, and Mongolia, they all get together right in the middle of Eurasia. And this is all, this what they call biogeographic region now. So the mountains, they don't know borders. Um, Nature doesn't know borders. And that's why for us, this border also, I mean, it does exist for sure, but it also doesn't exist. And my first country to visit was Mongolia. My first foreign trip abroad, I went to Western Mongolia, not just to Mongolia, but to Western Mongolia. And this is kind of like inland on Antarctica, so to say. It's very far for most of the people. And for me, it's just like, hey, neighbors, how is life? So very nice. And from there, I got this interesting skill. I learned it that on one side, my native language is Russian, and on the other side, I'm a nature guide. And about 15 years ago, I understood that I can guide kind of nature tours pretty much anywhere in the world if there is like speaking audience, and I used to work a lot with people from Russia, from Ukraine, from Kazakhstan, from Baltic states, and all the other places. I made many friends. We traveled to many different places all over the world, just starting from this Siberian background and, you know, the fact that crossing the borders was fairly organic for me. And that's how I ended up, yeah, working as a nature guide. And also, I started living in different places. I've been living, so my wife, she's Estonian. I used to live in Estonia for about 10 years, slightly more than 10 years. And then the war started, and that was quite a big change because I used to work a lot with people from Russia, and I used to work quite a lot with people from Ukraine. And then we had this weird moment. Oh, it was in 2014 or 15, when Russians annexed Crimea. And I saw both sides of that. I saw Ukrainian people being completely confused and they're like, wait. And I saw Russian people being completely like, yay, Crimea is ours. You know, this very imperialistic mindset. And yeah, well, long story short, after the full-scale invasion, because I was quite closely connected to like Eastern and Northern Europe, we also understood that we need to at least to have plan B in life. And in 2022, we sold stuff that I had to with my previous business, like I don't know, the car and the guiding stuff. Mm, and we put this money to ship our camper van across the Atlantic Ocean, and we moved to Mexico.
Well, but that's a great point, and Alex, thank you for openly sharing your view and your take on this. Which is, I'm gonna ask you about the other side of the coin, which is in the world that we live in, what gives you hope? Where do you see hope in this moment?
I think the big part of hope comes from the fact that Buddha 2,500 years ago, he said, you know, life is suffering. Don't expect much. So I understand that things are hard, and every generation actually improves, but at the same time, every generation faces their own crisis. Because I guess that's the way how we grow up and get mature. So that's what gives me hope. We certainly improve. Our global levels of consciousness, of understanding things deeper, they do grow. We are not slaves that much anymore as it used to be with our ancestors. I don't know. We do have nicer technology. We can talk to each other through internet. We have fancy smartphones. But as humans, we have a lot of inner work to do.
Definitely, but if we think on the grand scale of the universe, we are just, you know, not even newborns. We are just very, very in the beginning of our process. So that is hopeful that we will keep on improving, even if it's to our eyes slowly and not sufficiently, but still going in a better direction. Well, but let me ask you something. What is your personal Everest? So what is the challenge that you are still to face in your life?
Oh, there are many Everest. um, I don't know if I will ever reached the summit of this Everest, I do have a lot of work to do, both professionally and personally. And on professional side of things, my Everest is right now, yeah, like lung cancer. So I'm a mountain climber, right? And in mountain climbing, one of the rules that we all understand is that when you climb the mountain, you don't see the summit. Like you think you see the summit, but what you see is kind of like this mountain horizon, so to say. I don't know what's the word for that. So something, some place on the slope that you see. And then you climb there, and then you see that the way forward is actually much, much, much longer. And I only see this place on the slope, I guess, not the summit itself. So professionally, that would be, I'm really learning how to run a business, how to create a business without messing up someone else's life. Big question. How to do it, without exploiting somebody else? So that's a big, big question. But on the other side, another big Everest, and I don't know, it's also a huge, huge mountain to climb, is how do you stay a decent human with that kind of scale of tasks? Like how you are being a good husband, how you are being a good father, and how you're being a good friend, um, how you're being a good ancestor for the future generations, because it's not just my lessons that I learn, right? These are also some sort of knowledge that I'm supposed to teach my children. And I cannot say that I succeed with that. So there is tons of work, and this is also tons of personal growth, inner healing, dealing with my own childhood traumas, dealing with like the pain that may be inside, or like being less of, I don't know, maybe stubborn sometimes, or being less of, uh, how do you say, not like triggered, but no, like hurt, so to say, or something like that, if it makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of sense.
A lot of
lot of sense.
Everests to climb.
A lot of big Everest to climb.
But you're gonna give us a little help to climb our own Everests, because we're gonna ask you for your second song.
And the next song, it is a song of a French composer. His name is Jean-Michel Jarre, and he's been with me for most of my life. I started listening to his music since like I was maybe 4 or 5, latest. This song he recorded, so he was the first Western musician to play in China in 1981. And this song is called Souvenir of China, which was recorded or created, written as his, I don't know, memory, or this perception after his visit and after his concerts in China. So specifically this performance, this is 1997. This was recorded in Moscow, and this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, concerts in the human history. It was played in front of 3.5 million people. Shows me this complexity of the world that we're living in, but essentially the hope that we have.
Well, let's
Let's
listen
listen.
to Michel Jarre. Well, thank you, Alex. It's always a pleasure to revisit Jean-Michel Jarre, which it's been in our lives, many of us. So, um, shifting a little bit gears here, um, at the walking mentorship programs, we believe deeply that each person should and needs to carry their own backpack. For us, it's a very strong metaphor because the backpack, it's your life. You should carry your life. Of course, there's always help that can be provided, like in life, but it's still your backpack, and it's still your life. We would like to ask your opinion about when traveling becomes so comfortable and so easy and so luxurious sometimes, if that will have or not an impact, a final impact in your traveling experience. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I don't have like very clear answer or understanding of that, because on one side I do think that we need to carry our own backpacks, right? And all this movement towards facilitation, in a bad meaning of this word, like making things more comfortable, uh, it it it, it doesn't teach people, because I think really what makes us better is rather, growth and understanding that discomfort doesn't mean discomfort, it means learning. So you get to the comfort not because you bought a new chair, but because you learned something that made you discomfortable before. So you can't fix things with money, because then things will keep appearing, and you will never essentially learn it. It only buys you some time. Mm. On the other side, people do look for kind of escapes, retreats from maybe the world and life that is discomfortable. And they constantly are in the process of learning these lessons, be that their families or businesses or everything. So creating the space where they can find shelter from the world also makes sense. So it's kind of yes and no. I understand the need for both of these things. And for me personally, because I don't find it how to say reasonable just to complain, oh, too many five-star hotels, oh, too many, I don't know, comfortable things for these humans. I rather like, so I understand the pattern, I understand what is happening, and my task is just to understand what I'm gonna do about it.
Mhm.
And one of the things is, I think it is good, because then if people are getting used to this idea of comfort, that for us means that to create some transformations, to ignite, this new learning, we need to put even less efforts. Because before, I started guiding in the beginning of 2000s, and I was guiding, Russian speaking people after, collapse of Soviet Union. So we were climbing serious mountains, and people got, frostbitten. And to get somewhere to the level that you will be like, nice. I feel like, I don't know, rejuvenated. You really needed to hurt them, in sense that you really needed to go really far, because our comfort zone was very, very big. So with people who don't have that wide comfort zone, well, it's not even multi-day hike. It's maybe just, one food tour, like a cooking class or something that already can ignite the change. They would be like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, wow. So our job is going to be, it makes our job easier in this sense. And another thing that I believe, I'm not sure if I'm right, but I am quite confident, is that mm, you need to move in the opposite direction where kind of the main industry goes. So when everybody goes into the comfort and 5 stars hotels and everything, this is great because we are moving in the opposite direction. We are moving towards, nature and carrying our own backpacks. And if everybody is doing the opposite, it means, I believe, that the value of our work becomes even higher because so few people do that. Everybody moves into this mainstream stuff like hotels, I don't know, better sofas and all this stuff. And then when they need to find something that feels real, that feels not like everything else, they will look around and who is there? Well, like walking mentorship, I don't know, Alex, some other people, but let's, I mean, let's say truth. There are very few of us in the world.
And just to be clear, we don't have anything against 5-star hotels. We just think it's good to experiment with other things. And probably after the hardest climb, it's very nice to have a beautiful view. So, but if you don't have the hard climb, maybe you will not appreciate the view, and it becomes just a commodity, as you were mentioning. It becomes just the same old. But let's jump here into a different question. So Alex, you mentioned before that more than guiding trips, you like to think that you guide and organize expeditions. And my question is, what is the ultimate goal of any expedition? Not one particular one, but in general, going on an expedition.
Yeah, that's another great question that may take a couple of days to answer. I think, I mean, I have a very long relationships with expeditions, and we also had our ups and downs, and exploration very nicely rhymes with exploitation. And I'm not gonna dig this rabbit hole now, but and also continuing this topic that we just touched about 5 stars hotels and do we have anything against them? I also don't have anything against them because I believe what we really need is, variety and diversity. Because the biggest problems, they happen not because of, so to say, 5 stars hotel, but they happen when everybody kind of loses the diversity of thinking. When everybody, like I said here, Riviera Maya, so we have 40 million visitors every year. But when I look at it kind of in, meta level, I see desert because all you see is just same looking hotels, same looking restaurants. And essentially, it looks like there is infrastructure, that there is economy, there is life. But then when you look at it from the perspective where you're gonna go tonight, how you're gonna spend time, you discover that it's mostly decorations that have nothing to do with life. It may be sustaining some visiting, but you will be bored here after 1 week of visiting. After 2 weeks of visiting here, I mean, there will be like very little things to do. And that doesn't create better places for living. And that's essentially what I think is our role. What is the role of tourism, visiting, traveling? Is first of all to create conditions for more life, for life to thrive, contribute to better living environments, because we are also alive. So it's not that we are contributing, it's not just that we are contributing to someone else's lives, doing just absolutely philanthropic effort. No, it's also for ourselves. It's also about things that we are interested in, things that are close to us. So if we like nature, for example, wouldn't we want to contribute, to visit and contribute to places that actually support nature, who create more of, I don't know, nature reserves, for example, right? Maybe some agricultural places, maybe some botanic gardens or beautiful views. So it is something that we get, but it is also something that we give. And so that's what I think the purpose of this expedition, or neo expedition as I call them. So it's more about giving and receiving in exchange.
Well, that's plenty of food for thought. But we would like to ask you, um, how do you hope that people will describe you? The people that know you, have been with you, walked with you, been on your expeditions, family and friends. How do you hope people describe you?
That's an interesting question. I never thought about it. I really hope that people also will feel maybe safe in my presence. I don't know if I succeeded with that. I probably don't. But replying to the question, like, how would I want people to see me, is that I would really feel better or something if people would feel safer in my presence.
Well, now you have a chance to redeem yourself. Please give us your third song.
Oh, the third song is my another good one. So, one of the things I learned is that surprisingly, philosophers, they are supposed to be very smart people, right? But I learned that many philosophers, they envy poets, because philosophers, they probably like me, use too many words. And poets, on the opposite, they find this best words that touch, And of course, this is not philosophy, this is an art of poetry. And one of my favorite poets, his name is Tuomas Holopainen. He lives in eastern Finland. And he is writing music, and he's writing lyrics. And he's also a leader of a metal band, because apparently in Finland, metal is like pop music in the rest of the world. It's incredibly popular. And so his band name is Nightwish, and they usually play symphonic metal. So this is this is metal with guitars, with heavy riffs, with, you know, double bass drums and all this stuff. But he's still a poet, and metal, I believe, is just his way of expressing himself. And what we're gonna listen, it is a work from his most recent album. And this is, I really suggest, if you are not against listening to symphonic metal, I really suggest listening to the entire album, because the last song from this album we are gonna listen to now, but you need the entire album to get into the last song, right? So the last song is called Lantern Light. It makes me cry every time I listen to it.
Gone is the hurt, the weight. Gone is the warmth of day. A stray boat saved happy memories engraved. Oh, into a velvety night beneath the lantern light. Last night brought the heaviest of snows, melting the songs of old. Tying the boat, ride a new one soon, sending me to the dry and moon far above I walk now toward the trees. I am the silver stream. The night falling at my feet into the forest of yesterwild.
Definitely, I'm gonna listen to the whole album. So thank you for that, Alex. Now we have a kind of a quick fire question, which is if you could decide to go on any adventure today without any restraints, you wouldn't have to worry about your family, about your work, about money, about anything. You could just travel and go on an adventure. What would that be?
I've been thinking recently that it would be so nice to go and live more in Mongolia, maybe for a year or two. That would be great.
That sounds cool.
Okay, well, next one. Tell us about maybe one special place in your life. And if you don't want the place to become overcrowded, don't tell us the name, but please describe the place in detail.
Oh, I mean, our listeners is not gonna see it, but you guys see it. It's on my background. This is the place that I'm not gonna mention, but no, I mean, it is called Kurai. It is called Kurai, and it is getting a bit crowded right now, but it's okay. I don't think it's gonna get overcrowded anytime soon because it is in the middle. No, it's not in the middle. It's in Siberia, 100 kilometers away from the border with Mongolia. And this is one of the most beautiful places in the world. And there are actually even a couple of places around it that are even more beautiful, but they take, 3 days hiking just to get there. So Kurai, it is this kind of great, one of the perfect mountain landscapes, because you see huge mountains with icy peaks and glaciers and, this very majestic type of mountains. But at the same time, it has space in front of them. So it's not mountains that are just towering on top of you. These are mountains that are kind of on the same level with you, so you can see them in all the details. Because it used to be a lake. About 15,000 years ago, it was a huge lake. And then the lake disappeared. And what we have now is this kind of many observation points that allow us to see mountains, face to face. And there are very few places in the world where you can see mountains face to face, especially places that feel wild. It's not mountains that, are surrounded by human settlements and filled with light pollution and noise pollution and helicopters flying. No, these are wild Siberian mountains that you have to spend some time to get there. But once you can face them and see them face to face, these are very powerful moments. And that's where nature can be literally impersonated, like you can understand why local Altai people, they talk to nature like it would be another living being, and why Altai people believe that every mountain, every river, every, I don't know, mountain pass, or even a tree, they do have their own spirits, and they talk to them like other living beings.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Really, really envy that experience right now. Good envy. So let's go for our last question of our podcast. And it's a question I'm always very curious about, and I'm looking forward to what you're going to come up with. So this is a classical question. We just invite you to imagine that you have a time capsule where you're going to place a message or an object or whatever you want inside, and you're going to shoot it out into the universe. And then either tomorrow or in a million years, who knows, someone or something, some entity will find it. What would you like to place inside that time capsule?
That's a very interesting question. I think what I would put into that time capsule would be my reply to the previous question. Like care about, maybe the recording of this podcast.
That's what we call pure recycling.
Yeah, like create more life, care about life, care about variety, you know, and diversity in all their ways, like diversity of nature, of diversity of thinking, and and if I would somehow be able to put the wisdom of Altai people into this capsule, I think that's what I would do. I find them being a bit isolated because they are there, you know, very far. They speak Altaian and they speak Russian because they are part of Russia. And we are speaking English right now because the rest of the kind of global world speaks mostly, or a lot of that speaks English, right? So these people are isolated, but I would really wish that their wisdom would be heard, that every mountain, every river, every tree, and even every rock, they may have their own spirits. And even if we don't know it, and even if our science don't know how to kind of detect it, it doesn't mean it's not happening. It means that we have a lot to learn. And we need to, but even if we don't detect it, even if we yet to learn it, we need to care about it now, so we wouldn't feel terribly bad later when we learn it.
Well, the good thing about this time capsule is that there's no size, so no limitation. So I'm sure we can put all Altai in there, mountains included, and the people.
Well, thank you so much, Alex. It's been quite inspiring and a pleasure to have this conversation with you. I'm really inspired by your work and the way you're kind of having a very innovative and at the same, well, challenging, but I would say safe. Don't feel that it's unsafe. It's just that it's really bringing new stuff to the world, and that is really cool to witness. So thank you very much for this.
Thank you, Alex, and we wish the best success. Actually, the world probably needs that success as well. Feel life project and program to come up and touch the life of many people.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for inviting. It's been a great pleasure to have a conversation with you, and I'm looking forward to reconnect in the future because it's a very long walk together. That walk is gonna take years and decades, right?
Yeah. But we just need to keep walking and we'll get there.
Keep Walking with Me. It is a podcast inspired by the walking mentorship experience. Step by step, we walk together towards the best version of ourselves. For more information about our mentoring programs, visit our website walkingmentorship.com.